All right, who's up first?
Obviously, you had some tough decisions to make with the 53-man roster. What were you trying to get to with some of the veterans that were released?
I mean, look, we always try to do what's best for the team. A lot of tough decisions, really across the board. Starting last week or a couple weeks ago, and then kind of culminating yesterday, the last couple days. Um, I mean, they're all tough decisions. Veterans, some younger players who we thought played and practiced well, but we can only keep us 53 and 16 on the practice squad, and um, a lot of tough decisions, but always trying to do what's best for the team.
Can you detail what Trill Williams and Robert Jones showed you throughout camp and preseason to make the 53?
Yeah, I think two young guys who really made a lot of improvement from the spring to the early part of training camp, then getting into games and doing some nice things. So we just felt like two young guys who we could continue to develop and work with, and we feel like with continued development, we may have something, but it's still a lot of that is on their plate. I mean, I think we see some potential, but they're going to have to continue doing the things that they've already started to do from a work ethic standpoint, from a routine standpoint, and I think two competitive guys who want to get better, and I think if we just continue to work with them, they'll have a chance.
Flo, there was a report that you addressed players and staff and stated that Tua Tagovailoa is our quarterback. What can you tell us? Is that accurate? What was the message, and why did you choose to deliver a message about Tua?
Look, I don't really get into. I mean, you guys know this. I don't get into conversations I have with the team, players. Those conversations are private. Like I've said before, I think it's just common courtesy to keep those kind of conversations between myself and the player or the team. I will say that Tua is our quarterback. I think that's been I think he's had a good training camp. I think he's made a lot of progress. I think he's made a lot of improvement, and we're pleased with where he is, and he's going about his preparations for New England the way he should be, and that's where we are as a team.
Ryan, it's always important for players to feel that you have their back, but is it that much more important for the quarterback to feel that way, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's important for players on the team to feel like they have the support of their teammates, their coaches, and everyone in the organization. I think that's very important. I think that's important.
Flo, do you think there's the team meeting that you guys had yesterday? Do you think that was enough? Do you think there's still a process of kind of maybe regaining some trust or anything that needs to happen further?
Again, I'm not going to get into what was said in the team meeting. I think, we've got a team full of guys who work hard, who support one another, who are tough, who are smart, who, love to play our team first. And, when we go out to practice today and try to improve and get better and prepare for, an upcoming game.
Coach, your roster has 3 running backs and 11 receivers/tight ends. When you go into that meeting to put together the 53, how much is the balance of the roster into that conversation compared to just taking the top 53 guys?
I mean, I think there's a lot of conversations, around depth at some positions versus, keeping the guys we just feel are the best players. And that's at the end of the day we did keep a number of receivers, tight ends, and receivers, and we feel good about it. We feel good about those players, And if it's one player over another, that was kind of a choice we had to make. And again, we always try to make the decision that we feel are best for the team.
Flo, with the Patriots claiming Malcolm Perry, how much does that affect changes you might have to make with your offensive playbook and calls between now and the opener?
Malcolm's he's a tough kid, hardworking kid. He's smart. I wish him all the best. As far as changes, I don't think there's very many changes that this happens really, quite a bit, I would say, where you end up with a player who's on the team that you're going to play, down the road, or in this case, it'll be the next game. So I don't think we'll make very many changes. I don't think we'll make very many changes.
What about the player that was added, Elijah Campbell, the defensive back? What do you know about his skill set?
Tough, fast, tackles well, can play in the kicking game. Felt like he'd be a good addition. Glad we got him.
After the tough day yesterday, Brian, how important is to you, for your guys, your team, to know that you have their back, and so that they can give everything for the team on the first week of the season?
I think our guys, they're a tough group. They play hard, they prepare well, and it's important to them. I think playing well is important to them, to each guy, and I think that supersedes really everything. So it's a good group. I'm lucky to coach them, and we'll keep coaching them hard.
So I know you said what you said about Tua. Is he going to be your week 1 starter?
Yes. I don't know if I can be more clear. I don't know how many times you want to say it. I don't know how much more clear I can be here. Tua's a starter. Do I need to say it again? I will, but.
So I'm curious, obviously this year, Fitz isn't here, Tua has been the guy throughout. How much did you reach back to maybe his Alabama time to maybe try to form this offense and what you want it to look like?
I think you always want or try to do things that fit the skill set of your players, receivers, tight ends, quarterback, offensive line, safeties, corners, D-line. And there's always, different themes, different concepts that show up. And you grab from the college game, from other, professional teams, wherever. And if you think they fit the skill set of, the players you have, then you try to use them. So, yeah, we have used some concepts, some college concepts. We've used some, let's call it professional concepts as well. And you kind of put all those together and try to put together a game plan that fits, the quarterback, but also the rest of the players on the team. So, and that's a collaborative effort, from our offensive coaching staff. And I think it's, they've always trying to put our players in the best position to have success, and obviously the quarterback's, a big part of that.
Sorry, I was going to say the roster, it only has 2 guys over the age of 30, one of whom is John Jenkins. What role does his leadership and experience play in the decision to keep him on the roster?
John was here in 19. Didn't have him last year, but we were happy to get him back this past offseason. Leadership is a big thing. It's probably the first thing that comes to mind when I think of him. But he's a good player too. And he's already kind of taking some of the younger players under his wing and kind of teaching them, or trying to teach them how to be professionals, and talk about some of the things he wish he would have done as a young player that he does now. And I think he's, from a leadership standpoint, he does a nice job.
So in did some research. At this time last year, you guys had the second youngest roster by age in the NFL, and now you're all the way up to 14th youngest. So does that feel about right?
I think we got a young team. I mean, I think if we're 14th, I mean, we're not, it's probably a small difference between 14th and 4th. But we got a young team. It's a bunch of hardworking young guys who football's important to them. And, you know, as coaches, it's a group we can mold. And I think that's what coaching's all about.
Brian, you guys made a couple trades on the offensive line these past few weeks. How comfortable are you where that position group is as a whole in terms of your front five and your depth right now?
I'm comfortable. I mean, I think a lot of those guys have played a lot of football together, you know, last year and this training camp. So I think they do a good job as a group, as a unit, going through the material, practicing it, going through the material again, practicing it. I think there's communication, good communication, but they're always kind of working on it. And they got a good feel for working with one another, I would say, you know, over the past couple of years. So couple new guys in there too, and, you know, we've mixed and matched it, I think, enough where they all feel comfortable playing. So feel good, but, you know, still just trying to improve and get better every day.
We talked a little bit about it yesterday with Mac Jones. You spent time with him at the Senior Bowl. What do you remember about him at the Senior Bowl?
Smart, you know, has a process of how he goes through things throughout the week, and I think it's a good process. You know, he's a tough kid. You can kind of feel that, you know, tough mentally, tough physically. I mean, you see that in his play, and you know, I was impressed by him.
I wanted to ask you about your depth at linebacker. Obviously, we don't know what the practice squad looks like right now, but 7 guys on. A couple of them have battled some injuries during training camp. Landon is 9 months into a knee rehab. Do you feel like that unit is deep enough to carry you through 17-game season?
I do. I mean, I think it's, you know, it's a group, and, you know, when we talk linebacker and we talk, you know, personnel groupings, there's, you know, sometimes there's 3, sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 1, sometimes there's none. So, you know, I feel good about where we're at and kind of the conversations we've had defensively and what we want to do and how we want to use those guys, that group, along with some of the other groups. So we feel comfortable. You know, like you said, there's always, you know, the potential for injuries, and, you know, hopefully we'll, you know, add some guys to the practice squad that will feel good. You know, if they needed to step in, could step in. So we feel good about where we're at.
Final question?
I can ask one more. If I can go back to Mac a little bit. What do you, obviously every quarterback's different, but defending a rookie quarterback, is there something as, you know, as defense that you guys can do for a rookie specifically to make his first start difficult?
I mean, I think you try to make it difficult for any quarterback. Rookie, I mean, that's, you know, kind of goes through that position. So, but it doesn't just happen because you talk about it. Everyone's saying that every week, and, you know, we've got to prepare the right way. We've got to, you know, get lined up, have good communication so that we can have good execution. Because if we don't do that, then, you know, we're not going to make it hard for anybody. So rookie, 15-year vet, we've got to execute defensively in order to make it hard for, you know, the opposition. So that's kind of my thought on it. I don't think, you know, there's been plenty of rookies that have gone out and played well. And, you know, we've got to execute. All right. Thanks, guys.